Good evening. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the George and Joyce Wein Jazz and Heritage Center. My name is Kia Robinson Hatfield, and I'm the Director of Programs, Marketing, and Communications here at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, the nonprofit that owns Jazz Fest. And our role is to take the money made at Jazz Fest and invest that into Louisiana communities. And we do that through cultural enrichment, education, and economic development. And so Sync Up is one of those economic development programs. This is the last Sync Up session in a three-part series aptly named NOLA Next, which focuses on artists emerging, collaborating, and evolving all within the music economy here in New Orleans. And so one common theme that has been featured in each of these sessions is collaboration. So I want to make note to thank Reedwick and the Recording Academies for supporting Sync Up over the 13 years that this program has existed and being an instrumental collaborator and supporter of this program. So tonight we're discussing entrepreneurial collaboration and what that looks like in these to a few local entrepreneurs. First up, our moderator leading this discussion is a musician, music educator, arts administrator, and music education and creative economy advocate. She wears many hats in the music industry, including serving as the Director of Operations and Programs for the Trombone Shorty Foundation. Please welcome to the stage Ashley Shabankare. Ashley Shabankare. There she is. Hey, Ashley. All right. Next up, GenRise is a multi-platform music and entertainment company which aims to provide business and strategic support to the New Orleans community. Representing GenRise tonight, we welcome DJ Raj Smoove, Lou Hill, LaWanda Smith, and Malaika Moran.
I'll let everyone get it nice and settled in first.
Check.
We gotta check to see if our mics sound
checking.
nice.
Oh, that works. There we go.
It does work. Check.
Yeah, well, welcome y'all. I'm excited to be with y'all today. I want to start by opening up and talking a little bit more about GenRise, especially for our folks that haven't heard about GenRise. For Raj and Lou, I want to hear more about how GenRise came together. Can you talk more about that collaboration?
So it kind of came together organically. We started out as a brain trust of, like-minded professionals. We all had different projects and things we were working on, and we just kind of started helping each other with the different projects and things that were going on, and it kind of coalesced to an actual company, and I feel like we've been able to do some great things during a very down time in the world right now. We've been able to create some synergy and make some things happen.
Yeah, it was basically Raj and I, we got together and really started talking about some different projects, some different things. COVID hit, which allowed us to work in a really cool way with a online festival we put together called Band Together, which of course LaWanda, Malaika helped out, and our other team members out in the audience. What's happening, y'all? Really came together to raise a substantial amount of money for people in the music community, and from there we just consistently kept taking on projects, doing as much as we could, and it's kind of put us where we are today, which is just trying to, or I should say actually being that, entertainment company that actually helps people, reach their dreams. It could be production, festivals, recording artists, whatever. We just do what needs to be done.
It's wonderful, and I just have to give kudos to the Band Together Festival just because it did provide so much wonderful relief to our community, so thank you for that work. That was tremendous. And also, it was just really nice to have that camaraderie of watching this great concert happening so early on in the pandemic, so I do want to, again, thank you for that work. I feel like so much of this interesting work came out of the COVID-19 pandemic and just getting to really rethink what collaboration looks like, what community looks like, really. And so I would love to hear a little bit more just in terms of how you brought in the rest of this larger team. This is a wonderful team. So talk to me a little bit more about how y'all came together as like this team structure. How did you know who were the right people to bring on for GenRise as y'all all started working together?
Well, I started a company maybe about a year before COVID hit called the Gentilly Agency. Malaika had been working with me for a couple of years, like helping me with marketing and my brand and like trying to figure out how to get my visibility up. Also, Amanda Mester, who's a writer, she had been working with us, just trying to help the things that I was doing to get that to another level. And then, Lou already had his group and his company, Moonrise Entertainment, Water Seed Band, like he'll tell you the laundry list of things that he had going on that side. But so it was kind of like, my team on this side, his team on that side, and then we just kind of like naturally, it was just one of those very weird situations where everybody kind of hits it off and it fits together, especially when you have multiple groups of people involved.
Yeah, so on the, Raj kind of hinted at it, myself and a business partner, Sinise, who's in the audience, we were looking for help with Water Seed. At the time, we had a venue on St. Claude, the Get Down Lounge, and we were looking for help with Water Seed, somebody to come on board and kind of help us do regular things. We'd given up seeking out management. We found that like management for the band was too crazy. It was weird. We weren't finding the people that could like see our vision. So we came up with a plan like, why don't we just get people that we can have help us do this that has specialties in different areas. And LaWanda she was doing some stuff like she'd come in every now and then to help us with merch and stuff like that. And we knew that she was already doing stuff around the city, so we called her in and said, hey, would you help? She said, sure, she signed on. The next person was like Renata, who was like also in the audience. Was up, Renata? She was she sent me a Facebook message, like a year before, and LaWanda knew Renata, and it's like, hey, do you know this person named Renata? You think she would want to come on? And she was like, yeah, cool. And then the same thing happened with, oh yeah, she's back there too, Tiffany. So Tiffany was like, I was going to like a mixer, and she's like, you really need to check out my friend Tiffany. And so I met Tiffany, and then we just all kind of came together and started working and putting our ideas together. And Raj and I were already working on some things, so it just was really initially just to help the band. COVID hit and the band kind of shifted into just studio work opposed to all the touring and all the other stuff, but it allowed the team to come together in a way and marry kind of to Raj's team in a way that it's like everybody could kind of work together and do what needed to be done. So that's how we were already kind of functioning and everything. So yeah.
And the thing that I will say that helps is that we all get along. So when you like to be around people and you like to spend time with people and you find that you have kindred spirits and you can connect on different levels, sometimes those casual conversations turn into business opportunities. And the brainstorming ends up turning into money. And it just happened that the stars were aligned that way. And I feel like, when I'm around this conglomerate, it's like my tribe. So that helps.
I love all of this. I just love what a beautiful energy that all of you bring into this collaboration together, because it's so needed in this industry. It's, getting to work together, building that community, and recognizing how important we are when we're working together. Like, we're stronger when we work together. I feel like we can go down so many different kind of trains of thought here. And I feel like I want to kind of talk a little bit more about the local music economy and pivot a little bit here in this conversation. Of course, bringing in GenRise into the fold and the work that all of you have done to this point. I want to talk a little bit about the GNO Inc.'s NOMI study that was done around the New Orleans music economy. And one of the big takeaways from the report is outlining the types of support businesses that have the greatest potential for growth due to lack of local options. And so they mentioned things like publishing and booking, agencies, sync licensing, and a general lack around monetization and administration. So as it relates to the future of the New Orleans music economy and also the creative economy here in New Orleans, how does this factor into a lot of the work that y'all are doing right now? So how is this making y'all grow as a company?
Well, one of the big things that came out of the roundtable discussions when the study was being done was that you have all of these different elements in different parts of the industry in New Orleans, but everybody's kind of siloed off. You know, nobody knows for real what everybody else is doing. So you do have some music publishers in the city, some folks that do music for television and film, but they don't necessarily know who all the other music producers in the city are. You have like video game companies that are based now and that are moving to the city, but you have all of these creators, and there's just a disconnect between all of these different entities. So, what we've kind of done is like the living embodiment of the purpose of the whole NOLA task force. That we're taking people, from the creative side, from the management side, from the marketing side, all of these different areas, PR, and putting them in a room and saying, what is it that we can come up with? And the fact that we have a whole bunch of different relationships that there's, when we get in a room, there's not too many people that we can't touch or get in contact with for things that we're trying to do. So that definitely helps to connect a lot of those dots.
So what I'll say is here in the city of New Orleans, I always have to say my home because what I'm going to say could make people upset. Like New Orleans is in trouble when it comes to how we visualize and what our infrastructure looks like here in the city for musicians to survive in modern times. And that's not saying that the whole portion of our music industry is horrible. You could move to New Orleans and you can make a living playing music, just playing music. There are not many cities in the country you can do that in. Now, the flip side is that you're gonna have to play a lot of shows to do that. A lot of shows you don't wanna play. You'll probably be playing those same places when you're old and ready to retire, and then you'll have a whole new set of issues. So I think the study that NOLA has done is amazing. And I think that our goal is to actually be the kinetic energy in that study and actually be it in action. And there are a few entities in the city, and you guys have brought on several, that are saying, okay, we get it, we can perform, we're a great performance city, but what about all those other cities with all these other musicians who are making money by not being on a stage and having stuff to retire to and having catalogs and money and IP? New Orleans is behind on that. So the study, and Raj was a part of the committee for it. I wasn't, but I've read some of it. But it's trying to say, look, we are only tapping into one very important, but one part of all the ways that we can generate money and create stuff here in the city. And my own testimony to that is, I grew up in the city, went through all the hard knocks, musician things that musicians go through in the city, which is a story all to itself. But I left. I finished my classes in the fall semester, and graduation wasn't to the spring. I packed my bags and I moved up north because I felt like what I wanted to do with music, New Orleans ignored that, and I couldn't do it. So either I'm gonna stay here and do something I didn't identify with, or I was gonna go somewhere else. And so GenRise at its true core is how do we create the opportunity for people here to not have to go somewhere else to meet any part of their musical dream. And we've been fortunate enough in about a little bit over a year and a half when we've been doing it to have some great opportunities. And we're working very hard to be just like these other 3 or 4 companies that have said, look, we're trying to build the industry here. So that's our goal.
That's fantastic. And I feel like I'm going to keep coming back to community as a central theme of this conversation today. Both of y'all just touched on points that I feel like we raise. I know some of the Upbeat Academy students are here, so I just want to acknowledge that we often raise with Upbeat Academy this conversation around building your own scene, building your own community. And I'm wondering if y'all could dig in a little bit more about kind of how you're going about approaching that, recognizing y'all have had such tremendous growth within this past year alone and really doing that work so that a true New Orleans music economy can exist. I don't know if whoever wants to take that one, be my guest.
Well, I've always been a person that's like, and it's something the city of New Orleans has taught me, you know, and not from a positive way, from a way of they're not hearing you. And you've knocked on doors and you've said hello and you said, this is who I am, this is what my music is, this is how I think it should be expressed, this is how I want to present it. And I just one day, and I don't know, but it wasn't so long ago, it was maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, I just moved back home. And I was just like, you know, I was done with knocking on doors and asking people for stuff. And so I just tried to live from a business point of view of, if you're not inviting me to your table, I'll build my own, you know, and I'll eat from it. And I'll invite all of my friends and we'll hang out and we'll do our thing. So at that same time, you know, I met Raj and everybody else. And so it's not a thing of, oh, I hate this person or I hate that person. There's other circumstances why people aren't helping you, you know, and I don't know what those are and I'm not judging that. But I just was at a point, it's like, I can't wait anymore. So let me shift. And look, this is a daily battle for me. Probably Raj knows this, Sinise knows this, and a few other people, but I am more than anything an artist. You know, that's what I am. I'm a musician, a songwriter, and an artist. Now, I do music business. I'm pretty good at music business. You know, don't get it twisted. I'm really good at it. But I will not do music business if I cannot create. It makes no sense to me to do it. So for me, I struggle with that on not a daily basis, but daily basis, balancing that part of who I am. So I think that, and this is to definitely you guys out there, if someone is and I get this from young musicians all the time, they're consistently saying, no one's hearing me, no one wants to, I can't get any shows, they don't want this, they don't want that. And it's like, at some point in time, you gotta kill the pity party. And you say, okay, well, if someone is not accepting you, look somewhere else. Do something else or create your own situation. That's this, if you really want to accomplish it, and that's all. So it's not about people saying no, it's about stop going to the same people asking for a yes. You know, create your own yes. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's my philosophy on it, so.
I would say that's the other benefit of having a variety of experiences in this group, right, with the Gentilly Agency, with GenRise, and us coming together as GenRise, right, is that Lou can speak to someone as an artist. We're all bringing, you know, Raj can speak to someone as, like, this is what would happen from a production standpoint, right? LaWanda has this marketing edge, especially with the live shows and understanding how to manage the back office of everything, right? And I have a corporate and business background. So the main thing that we talk to artists about and our clients about is, this is a business. So while you love to do your art, you have to understand that there are certain things that you have to do to be able to keep this machine going. Now, that being said, to Lou's point, people might not, there are certain things that are very popular right now. And if that's not your brand, that's cool. Because there's a whole bunch of people in this world, and your tribe is out there. You just have to have a loud enough voice for them to hear you and come to you and be consistent enough with what that is. And we cultivate that at GenRise. We cultivate who you really are and what your voice really is, and not trying to morph you into anything else that will sell. We're looking at who you are and what you're bringing to the table and how we're gonna sell that. Not let me morph you into something that other people have bought.
I just want to give all like the snaps to that and all of that right now, but I'm not a very good snapper, so I'm not. So thank you everyone for doing the snaps on my behalf. I have to be honest about things. You know, we're talking about being honest with ourselves. I just really respect the reminder of you don't have to be at the table. You can create your own table. You can be your own brand. And I think it is worth reminding ourselves consistently that we have that ability. That's part of the entrepreneurial spirit, right? So thank you for just reminding us and setting that space, especially for younger artists that are here or that are tuning in, just that you can make your own table. You can make that own space. You can stay true to yourself and your identity. And that is incredibly important.
I would also like to add to that, you know, with creating your own table, try to make sure that the people that you bring to your table and that are sitting at your table are contributing something to the pot. There's enough space for everybody to eat, but, you know, folks have to put in something on it. You know, one thing that we've been lucky, and I think a lot of that probably comes from experience from our past tables that we've sat at, you know, everybody that, you know, we're working with that's in our organization has brought revenue to the table in one form or fashion. You know, everybody is pulling their weight, everybody is contributing, and the speed at which we've been able to do things, I think, has been amazing. You know, we got a call like 2 weeks ago to put a festival on in City Park, and Lou had it popping in like 10 days, you know, and it was a 2-day festival and pulled it off, you know.
Teamwork is a dream work. And let me say at the same time, when that's right, when things were coming down the line, we were developing 2 artists at the time for 2 pretty large shows and shooting 2 videos. And I was like, Raj, you're gonna have to run all of that while I deal with this festival. You know, so I pulled team members and we ran it, you know, but, you know, still checking in with each other. And even today, it's like he's with one artist 90% of the time, I'm with the other 90% of the time, because we have 2 big shows this Friday night, and we're gonna, you know, so it's kind of like we're working hard. And let me say this too, to what Raj is saying, it is not usual for this situation to exist, especially in the music industry. Raj and I have 2 very different skill sets. Like, everybody that Raj knows, I do not know. Well, not everybody, but it overlaps, and then vice versa. So, but the thing is, when artists come to us, if I don't know the person, he knows the person. If he doesn't know the person, I know the person. So we all kind of, it just fit where it was like something where he'd lost enough money and had enough success and been burnt enough. I did the same. So we were both like, when we came to, we're not dealing with ego and all the rest of that stuff. Our team is not dealing with that. We're like, what is the objective? What's the goal? Let's go. And that's all we focus on, and we just roll with it, so.
And what I'll say is this, we have great communication. That's very important when you've got so many people with so many varying experiences. We communicate all the time, sometimes all day long into the night. And that makes things so much better.
Can I get out of some of these group text messages? That's all I'm saying.
No.
Too many group text messages. Can y'all take me out of some of the group text messages?
Not
No,
gonna
but look, there are tons of group text messages. That's like 4 or 5 of them going literally right now in different areas that Raj and I pretty much see all of them. But there's like a video shoot over there. There's a show in. We see everything happening, but sometimes I'm not responding. Like, if they're talking about a booking, I'm just like, okay, whatever, they're doing it. You know, and I can look, but I see it, but we're communicating all the time, and that doesn't mean we're in each other's face critiquing. It's just like, we're staying aware of all the business, and we're seeing what's happening, and yeah, we're just going.
My butt is vibrating right now.
That must not be a group, because mine isn't, so there you go.
I can't imagine that is this must be the first time that sentence has ever been uttered during this panel.
I cannot confirm or deny that statement.
I would like to see a picture of Raj Smoove with that quote and his name
just
in the
right
hallway.
underneath.
I want to see it in the hallway.
Are y'all gonna post that to social media later, just like his image with the quote and call it a day? I think it's perfect.
I'm gonna put it on a shirt, we're gonna sell that.
There you go.
Sounds perfect.
Brand and marketing, there you go.
Now, pivoting from talking about vibrating butts,
My butt is vibrating right now, Raj Smoove. Big picture. I want that picture, Raj, right there. I want that picture.
I just really appreciate just the openness and the dialogue here around communication. The fact that everyone is constantly in communication, and there's a lot of respect here for each other's roles and each other's lanes and lifting that up. I wonder if y'all could talk a little bit more about working to each other's strengths, because it's very evident to me that all of you work in where you really succeed the most. Y'all are each real, true, wonderful individuals in this field, and so I just want to talk a little bit more about how folks getting into this field can really uplift one another and their strengths.
I can't speak to that because I make every last person on the team mad. So, no, honestly, I don't think if there's any conflict, there's not a feeling of malice. It's about getting the job done. And so it's not like someone's trying to bring you down, destroy you, do all of these things to you. Nothing said is malicious, and that's helpful. And finding each other's strengths is, and I was talking to another team member about this quite a bit over the past few days. And my personal philosophy, what I've been doing is not trying to tell people what their strength is. I want whatever your strength is to come out. So I ask, can you help with this? Can you do this? And then if the person receives it and they do well with it, I'll come again and say, hey, I need help with this at that point in time. But I think we're fortunate in that everybody in the team are kind of like myself and Raj, is that we complement, we're not the same. We complement each other, and we lean into people that are experts in this area. You're like, hey, I know a little bit, but you know a lot. How can we get together? And so it's not a timeline. It's not like we took resumes and said, this person is great at this and that. It's like literally a relationship of getting to know what people are great at, and then, activating that and encouraging that and giving people great opportunity. That's how, when I'm engaging everybody, that's what I think about. So,
That being said, I've also seen times when, when there were all hands on deck and folks just got in where they fit in and made things happen. And I've seen that in each and every person on the team. And there's no ego. I think what I just totally, like what you said really resonated, because if you've ever had a job, if you ever worked for someone else, if you've ever been on a team or worked in a team, it's really rare when everybody on that team is working from a place of no ego and humility. And it's really all about what we're trying to accomplish. So I think that's why this has been such a really great vibe.
And everybody could be their self. I can come in there with a million ideas and like, man, I think we should do this and we should do that. And Malaika's like, all right, well, how are we gonna make money from this? If we spending money on this promotion and this marketing and whatever else, how are we gonna turn that into a profit? Like, what's our revenue streams? How are we gonna do this? I think I have a lot of great ideas sometime. And Lou is like, I don't think that's it. And then I'll be like, you know what, you're right. So, it's a lot of checks and balances. It's a lot of honest conversations. It is a lot of mutual respect. And we appreciate each other's efforts to help us all toward our collective goal.
And also, if you're working in the music industry, you have to have a thick skin. But it does make things a whole lot better when you have two mentors in Raj and Lou who are willing to break things down for you. Even if you don't have the experience in it, they can guide you through it, and you feel successful at the completion or at the resolution of whatever your task is.
Great advice all around. I think there's obviously so much to unpack there, a big one being making sure that you're not bringing your ego into the situation, just recognizing we're all here to do the same thing. We're all here to help each other succeed and lift each other up, and I just recognize the importance of that statement of not bringing your ego into this. Kind of related to, I'm trying to think about which way we're going to go with this conversation today. I mean, all of you, I'm like, we could just go down so many rabbit holes today. But instead, I think I'm going to kind of pivot a little bit to each of your individual experiences. LaWanda, I want to start with you because I would love to hear more from you today, if you don't mind. Okay. I know that you have worked with numerous arts-based organizations here in New Orleans, including the Grammys and with Jazz Fest. And I just want to hear a little bit more about how your experience has been in the industry and really how it serves you in this capacity with GenRise, like how you're bringing your wonderful insight to GenRise.
Oh boy, where do I start? So I started in this music journey a little later in life. So I've only been in the music industry about 6 years, I guess. And it started as a volunteer for the Jazz and Heritage Foundation. I've got my master's degree in arts administration through UNO. I have done jobs from parking cashier at the Mahalia Jackson Center to, so many, to merch sales for Basin Street Records, to stage manager for the Recording Academy, Memphis chapter here in New Orleans, to now director of programs and logistics for Moonrise. All of those jobs and the many jobs that I haven't named, number one has helped me with networking, knowing musicians, knowing their family members, that helps. Knowing how things work backstage, it helps. So when I'm taking a booking for an artist, there are certain questions that I know to ask. Just being able to sell music, learning how to sell music, sell a particular artist. I've sold for gospel artists as well as for trad jazz and New Orleans brass bands. So, and now Waterseed and a number of other artists that we work with. And all of those experiences culminate to this position and just knowing more, being able to recognize folks. And you can get a lot further being nice and being familiar. Not too familiar, because you know how we can be in New Orleans. How your mom and them, it works. How your mom and them works, but don't go too much further than that. The great thing was being in a position for Lou to see me. And that was me being at shows, being willing to help. I'm a Waterseed fan. So being there, their person didn't show up one night or whatever the issue was that particular night, and they needed somebody to sell merch for them. Because I had that experience, I was off, chillaxing. I was like, okay, I'll help. So all of your experiences, try to get as much experience as possible, and trust me, it will pay off.
I think it's such sage advice, the art of showing up. It's just such a huge practice that I think we don't value enough and don't talk about enough. It's the act of being present. And I really appreciate that reminder of, you gotta show up, just be there, be present. You don't have to do anything in that moment, but you're there.
And people will get used to seeing you, and you become reliable to them. And they will call you. They will call you when you're asleep, not even thinking about work. Hey, I was thinking about you.
I mean, who doesn't love getting a phone call saying I was thinking about you, and whether it's for a job or not. So I want to hear a little bit from each of you just in terms of your wonderful careers. Malaika, I'm going to turn to you a little bit. I hear you're a world traveler. So that was how it was framed to me. But in actuality, I know that you have your company, Social Step Marketing and Consulting, and that you've worked with a number of different clients, including the New Orleans Business Alliance and the Governor's Office. And so I want to get your perspective in the world of marketing. In terms of talking a little bit more about our music economy and how this idea of collaboration can really help address the deficiencies that exist here.
The first thing I'll say is that, like, I started my professional career in New York, and I lived in New York for like 12 years. And the big difference, and this is why I'm very passionate about, and I'm appreciative to be working with, like, being a part of GenRise. So there's tons of talented people all over, right? And lots of talented people in New York. I'm born and raised in New Orleans, all right? What I realized, though, is that they're getting paid a lot of money up there, and they're talented, but it's not the same kind of talent that you see here from people, and that talent is like oozing out of their pores, right? There are people who grew up here and they live and breathe and love this music with all of their heart. When I used to go out in New York and I would see people perform, you could tell that that they were in their head. It was like a task. But you go on Frenchman, or you go to Bullets, or you go to, somewhere and hear a brass band, and this is just natural, right? And this desire for the people who have this rare kind of talent to get paid what they're worth is the thing that is really motivating for me, especially being a part of this. But to the part of the question about collaboration, I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time, and I did a lot of stuff with my business by myself, but it's not that I was like, oh, nobody else could do it. It's just that I didn't make the time to get a team together, to establish processes, to get a structure together. And that is a first-class ticket to get burned out very fast. And something I loved became something I despised. And I don't want that to happen to anyone else. And I slowly got back around to it, but that's one of the reasons why I do consulting for the Urban League. I talk to entrepreneurs all the time because I don't want that to happen. And you can easily get caught up in the to-dos, right? But there's a part of your business, like you always want to stay connected to the reason why you started it in the first place. And although as an entrepreneur you have a lot to do, have a plan for building an organization to get you out of the things that are taking you further and further away from the reason you got into business in the first place. And with artists, they can be frustrated because the money isn't there. And unfortunately, we're not, as a society, we don't place monetary priority on art the way we should. And because of that, it's easy to get discouraged. But being a part of this, and like I can take some of the skills that I know, and wherever I have a deficiency, there's somebody else that can pick that up. And together, we can be a foundation that can help someone as an artist stay in this game, be who they are, not feel like they're not going anywhere because of it, and still enjoy being the artist that they are.
Wow, there's so much to dig into, but I especially want to just touch on the burnout aspect of it. It is, I think this year especially reminded a lot of us that we had been in the grind for so long, and that we needed to all take a step back and go, wait a second, why was I doing that? Because now the thing I loved is no longer the thing I love, and how do I find that love and passion again? I'm going to ask a question of all of you kind of related to burnout. I think it is something very real within this industry. Could y'all address a little bit about how you create that balance for yourself so that you are not burning out, so you're not going into that space where you're having a begrudging feeling to the thing that you're so passionate about and the entrepreneurial spirit that comes with each of you in this room. So anyone who wants to take that one initially, be my guest.
So I feel like I've had like 2 points where I was kind of burnt out. One was in the 90s, late 90s. I had like my first crew that I was working with, and I kind of got in a position where I was doing a lot of the work and was being criticized for all the heavy lifting I was doing by people that was like, sitting down, chilling. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna deal with this anymore. I'm gonna go over here. Y'all more than welcome to join me, but I'm gonna go over here. And at that time, I kind of like started focusing on myself. And, after a time, I started back working with other artists, and the cycle kind of repeated itself, where I started doing so much for everybody else, and I wasn't doing enough for myself. And it kind of came to a head, and I got burned out, had to take another little hiatus. And then that's when, Malaika kind of came around and was like, hey, there's some great things that we can do to help you elevate your brand. So it's like, all right, cool, let's go. And again, I kind of started focusing on myself. And I think this time around, the progress that we've been able to make so fast is because I haven't just lost myself in the relationship, so to say. You know what I'm saying? I'm still me, I'm still being able to do my own things, but I have people that are sharing this experience and this vision and this relationship with me to where I can lean on them. You know what I'm saying? It was I guess it was about a month ago, I was sitting having a conversation with Lou, and like you said, with the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic, and we had a hurricane and a whole lot of other stuff been going on. I was like, yo, I just feel like all my momentum has been lost. There was so much other stuff going on, and I had a great time with the pandemic because I was able to just work around the people I wanted to work around, and us to say, what is it that we're gonna do? Lou was like, yo, we're putting out 2 songs every month. All right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So I was enjoying, being around my people. I was able to finish a project with my friend T-Ray, the violinist right here. If y'all give it up for T-Ray. He's up for voting to get nominated by the Recording Academy. I've known T-Ray since he was a freshman at UNO, and he was on, early on, he was on our street team, putting up posters, and playing violin on the albums all the way back then. And, T-Ray has been able to step up his career and make a living for himself. And I'm very proud of him for being able to do that. And the fact that, it took the pandemic for us to finally finish. How long we were working on that project? 2-3 years? Yeah. So, but it was finally able to get accomplished, because we had the time to kind of sit and say, what is it that we want to do? And I think that, it couldn't have happened, we don't want to make light of the pandemic because it's horrible, but it couldn't have happened at a better time to help us kind of come together and pool our resources so that I don't have to get burned out because my flame isn't turned up to 12. I can put my flame at 6, and if everybody else has their flame at 6, then we got a lot of heat that's going on. So, having people that I can lean on, that can support me and to help catch my slack, I think that's the biggest thing to keep my energy up.
So for me, I have another problem. My problem is not burnout. I am pretty much on 10 all the time. My issue is I don't have a quitting personality. So that sounds good, but it's actually not healthy. So about 3 years ago, sometime I left my venue. I literally put 3 months into putting it together, whatever, with my partner. 2 weeks into it, I walked away. That's big for me because I'm the guy that's we're gonna make this work and figure it out. But I noticed during that time in my life, I was holding on to things because I'm not a quitter that really weren't what I should have been doing. So during that time, I started evaluating things in life because I'm on 10 with everything. Started evaluating everything and this, and this does not work for me. And just goodbye. Getting rid of it. And so it was something that, for lack of a better word, I had to start getting selfish about my needs and saying, this is what I need to be the best that I could be. And in this business mostly, not relationships, but if that does not fit what I believe I need to be doing, I have to push it aside. And that's because if it's in my presence, I only know one way to deal with it, and that's 120%. Now, so I have never, there have been ups and downs. I don't think I've ever gotten to a point of burnout just because my thing is I'm the guy, I'm Will Smith on a treadmill. It's you're not gonna beat me. I'm gonna pass out, whatever, but you will not win today. you know, that's what I'm gonna do every time. So, but again, do I wanna die? I don't. So it's one of these things, or prematurely, definitely not. So it's one of these things where I had to flip it in a different way. I had to understand delegation. I had to say, okay, cool, let me surrender some of this to other people and just let them get there. And, you know, not be a super Virgo and be controlling. You know, like, whatever your process is, let me first see your process and let me whatever. Look, right now, with the team is look, and it's really sad. I took a quasi vacation. Like, I am that guy who's never gone on a real vacation in his adult life. I'm that guy, right? Not healthy. But, like, just before Ida hit, I had to come back home, actually. Said, I'm going on a vacation, a reset vacation, and it was just a Mobile, but I needed it because I was just like, we were doing so much business, so like, I need it, so I need to kind of unplug. And I don't know if that was good or bad, because some team members would say, he came back crazy. So, but I spent the time, and I wrote down all of these things. And I said, in 8 weeks, we need to knock this out, right? And we're still within that 8 weeks. And they know, I'll send group messages like, 8 weeks, let's go. It's like, if energy's not like,
and we're all like,
yeah, like, what do you, I'm so tired, we haven't slept in 2 weeks. But that's me. I'm just like, we can get this, we can go, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. You know, if that's the prize, the only thing we have to figure out is how to reverse engineer it to get there. But anything's possible. That's what I think. And so if it makes it to my list, we're doing it. And it's, you know, I have certain goals. Like, I was like, when we all first met, I said, man, I want a festival. As I say, it's like, well, Lou, you know, we all talked about it. And sure enough, this year, we produced our first festival, you know, and it's just like, oh, let's go, you know, and it's like, thank you. Thank you so much. Teamwork makes the dream work, by the way. But it was an opportunity that came up in a weird way, and it's just like, okay, well, let's roll with it. We're gonna do this. And we weren't sitting around twiddling our thumbs. We had 4 or 5 other things going on. But it's just like, let's do it, you know, so my thing has never been burnout. I do appreciate the fact that I work for myself, so I do pace myself. Like I said, I am an artist, so I go through different regimens. Right now, my regimen is, weirdly enough, I watch Doom Patrol, and I practice all of my rudiments. I watch 2 episodes of Doom Patrol. That's 2 hours of like hand strength, and I'm rebuilding that because of COVID. Or I said, that's what I do in the morning, and then, you know, from 9 to 12, I'm usually doing business stuff, but that's gonna happen all day, but I have to carve out time to write and to do stuff like that. Then we go into meetings and all that stuff. But it's just, you just keep going, you keep knocking it out. But yeah, I get tired, but I never get, some of the band members say, man, you're just an optimist. I'm not. I will work something to death to achieve what I need to achieve. And that's just how I feel about it. And I want people around me, I feel like we have that deal with that part of the insanity of my brain, and they kind of humor me on it, at least up to a point, and it's like, oh, okay, this is working. You know what I'm saying? And Raj is kind of like the same way with just work ethic. There have been times where I'm like, dude, I don't know how you still here. You like got up at 6 and it's like 1 in the morning. I mean, I get up around 7:38. He's up at 6 dealing with little people, and I'm just like, I don't know what. But he's the same way. He'll stay up till, there's been times I've wanted to leave the studio when he's working on Water Seeds music, and I'm just like, dude, nope, we here, we gonna get it. And it's like, okay, let's go. So
Gotta do it till it's done.
that's right. So yeah, so that's been, so I can't really speak, even though I spoke a long time about burnout. I can't, it's weird for me, that's all.
No, I respect it. I wonder, Malaika, do you want to add to any of the burnout conversations or the not wanting to quit conversation?
Well, I will say that I've had I've danced with burnout a lot in my 20s and in my early 30s. And New York was that kind of place, right? Where it's perfect after college because it has a lot of energy. You know, it has a lot of stimulus. You have a lot of energy. Great. Once I hit a certain age, I'm like, this for the birds. I'm out. I'm moving to Miami. right? Which I did, and that had its own thing, but because of that, I'm very aware, because I didn't take the time, like I said earlier, to get people to help me, I was burned out from that. And now I have PTSD whenever I think that it's about to happen. So I do a lot of things to avoid getting into that. And it took me a lot of years to learn to say no to certain things. Even if you, like in your heart of hearts, you want to do it, it would be great if you could do it, you just can't. And I started to look at my time like a bank account. You can't spend money you don't have. So you can't really spend time that you don't have. And burning a candle at both ends, I used to be able to do it all day. And you just gotta know yourself. And I find that I am happier and my work is better when I approach it refreshed, and I'm loving it, and I'm focusing on the parts that I love about it. And sometimes when I am burnt out or when I feel like I'm getting stressed, walk around the block for a minute. Fresh air always helps me, sun helps me, moving my body helps me.
So Lou, I just realized that you and I are a lot alike.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something about 8 weeks, but okay, go ahead.
No. It's that going at everything on 10 or full steam. I did experience burnout. I was trying to be everywhere, doing everything, and that did not work. So just being in tune with myself, realizing that things didn't feel balanced anymore, and pulling back, as well as muting the phone, muting messages, turning the phone off completely, breathing exercises, belly dance does help, and just getting out and doing things that take your mind off of what is stressing you or pressuring you the most. And then I was able to come back into any position that I took on in the music industry with a different perspective and a different goal. I had to change my goal when I was going at 10. That was wearing me out, so my goal is much different now than it was then. No, that's it for me.
And I just want to add something to what Malaika said. One of the best lessons you learn, and hopefully you learn early, and there are some young people in the audience. Look, you're going to make money, you're going to lose money, and then you're going to make more money, and you're going to lose money. You figure it out. If you're working, sometimes you have a bunch of money, then all of it's gone, then somehow you start getting money again. So money is weird in that you can lose money and make money again. With time, once it's gone, it's gone. That is not renewable. So be very wise with what you do with your time and who you spend your time with in business. It's like, because you could be wasting your time out of being polite. That's my friend, that's whatever, and y'all just sitting in the same broke down car, blowing each other up. Hey man, we gonna do this, we gonna do this, but then nobody's working on it. Or you're the one working on it, something kind of what Raj said. And the other person's not. Well, guess what? That person is zapping a little bit of your time. So, hey, we can hang. There are a million musicians that I love. They're my brothers. They are not in Waterseed. It is not personal. It's just we don't match in that way. We go and hang out and do other things. So your friends are your friends, but sometimes, figure out, get with people that are vibrating at the same, vibration. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that wonderful summary of it. I wanted to go down that conversation around burnout and also, not wanting to quit, because I think it is a reminder to ourselves as we get into this entrepreneurial spirit. We have to remind ourselves to take care of ourselves, because we're not going to do our best work if we're going past our limits, if we don't have the right people with us and we end up doing the bulk of the work, or if we don't know when to say no to something or when to quit. And so I just appreciate everyone being candid about kind of these experiences that we've had, because they're real. We do experience them within the industry, and I think it is important to remind ourselves that it is a human experience that we have. It is something very natural that we have. how we respond and how we grow to then build our community and recognize the people that we actually need to have around us. That's the important part. So thank you for going down that conversation with me. Again, we're going to keep in the collaboration spirit. Raj, I'm going to move on over to you. We know that you have a wonderfully impressive resume here. I don't have to go down the full extent of the resume. I do want to acknowledge that last week we did have global warming here, and they had mentioned how you had played one of their songs recently at some of the recent games. And I'm just thinking about the spirit of collaboration, both between artists and with entrepreneurs and with individuals with the industry. And I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about how, or your take more specifically on local collaborations and talking about how collaboration can really elevate what's happening within our local music economy.
Well, it gets back to the point of people not being siloed off. And, there's people kind of feel like you have to leave New Orleans to make it, or that everybody down here is crabs in a barrel and nobody wants to see you succeed. But that has never been my experience. Or maybe it's just not what I focused on. Like, there have definitely been, some little Raj Smoove haters here and there that say a little 2 cents. But, overall, like, it's always been love between folks. Even like, back in the Cash Money No Limit days, like, everybody, like the artists were cool. Like, a lot of them came up together and they knew each other, and, everybody hollered. It was kind of like, the higher ups that had the beef. So like, everybody that's waving that flag, you got to be on our side of the beef. But and especially kind of like in this new New Orleans post-Katrina age, there has been a lot of camaraderie, and I think that's something that, global warming and Pell and Suave have been able to really put put it in a box to say, like, look, like, this is what it is, this is what we have, this is what we're promoting. And it's nothing really new. Like, I've known Suave for like 20 plus years. What we've been able to do with all of the folks that, we kind of like started it with, as far as trying to get the brain trust together, is like, like, we have all of these resources, we're just trying to figure out how we can benefit the folks around us. Because I always look at it like, like, if I'm working with T-Ray on his project and he makes $1 million, that's gonna help me out. I don't have to like try to stop T-Ray from making money because the money that he's getting is money that I could be getting. Like, no, like, that's T-Ray's money. I wanna see him succeed, so that means more money for my studio and, my productions and whatever else that's going on. So I think the attitude of the artists in the community is such that we just need a little bit more food on the table for everybody to see that, we can all eat. And then once that happens, then, they say money changes things. I definitely think that's something that would help to really change New Orleans even more for the better, that folks can see like, like, when we collaborate, when we work together, everybody can benefit. And 2020 was like my best year on record. And, I was working with all of these people, what I'm saying? So it's like, like, we need to keep doing this.
So, Raj Smoove is definitely a phenom, that's what I'll say. In that, out of anybody I've met in the city, he is that guy. He's the guy that's like, everybody loves Raj. That's just the way it is. And it's because of who he is. And I hope what I'm gonna say doesn't discourage people, but I'm gonna be honest about it. There has been the crabs in a barrel mentality. Artists have been fighting over stuff that's like the same. It's like we're fighting New Orleans at best is, the industry here is an island, and you try to get off. Now you can go and visit other places like overseas and people love you, but we're pretty self-contained in our culture and music, and there's good things about that, and there's also bad things about it. You can be very popular here and then a few people in Europe know you, but the rest of the country does not. So it's weird where if I'm living in Atlanta and I'm popular in Atlanta or popular in New York, there's a big chance that other people around the country will know who I am. And in New Orleans, what annoyed me and why I left is because I was saying, we're fighting over this, and this is not a bad thing about New Orleans, but we're fighting over this piece of real estate when there's a whole ocean out there. It's like, and there's enough space for us here and in the ocean. And I never understood why we do that. There have been, without saying any names, people that will put their foot on your neck and be gatekeepers to your success. Okay, 100%. I would not be doing the live music community justice if I said that that did not exist. It 100% exists in this community. What I will say, that's the positive part about it. Global warming, PJ, 3D Nati, Mid-Citizen, and I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting some other people. These people are in our cell phones. We call and we check on each other. We say, how are you doing? Do you need anything? We actually genuinely, from a business and from a friend point of view, care about each other's success. So some of global warming has been on water seed projects. Some of this artist, and we just like, what do you need? Hey, I need this contact. I need this booking information. What can you do? And it's a phone call away. That's something that me coming up in New Orleans didn't exist. It was like, nope, can't do it, whatever. So I will say with this generation of music industry people that we're associated with, it is the mentality of what's for us is for us, and what's for you is for you, and no one can stop that except for us. So I do feel a sense of everybody, like we want everybody to win. And that win does not hurt what it's supposed to be for me or for us. So I would say a little bit of both, but I'm gonna say kudos to like the new people, or quote unquote new people, we've been here for a while, who are like saying, we can stay in these little silos, but we won't because we know each other. What do you need? So that's been a big effort. And it's been, Raj has actively reached out to other quote unquote camps just to check in, what are you doing? And that's important, just so that we know, like, hey, we're both in this together. Let's make the whole community better.
I feel like you just perfectly segued into kind of where I was going to ask you to go next, which I love. And it is so important, the art of checking in on one another, the art of making sure folks are cool, and just asking folks how they are. I mean, it really does go a long way. Lou, I do want to kind of dig in a little bit more about how we can continue to address some of the systemic issues that have occurred within this industry. You've already acknowledged the importance of showing up, the importance of not being the crabs in the barrel. I'm wondering if there's some more advice, especially noticing that we have students in the room today, about things we can be doing to make sure that we can push forward the industry, continuing to push forward, continuing to make sure we're not fighting for no pay at a gig, and making sure that we're actually moving the industry forward in a positive manner.
So what I try to do, and I'm guilty of pulling back this part of what I do, I try to give information. So if somebody calls me and they need information, whatever, like look, when I first moved back, because I was stranded in Atlanta for 8 years after Katrina, but when I moved back, I came in with the attitude, let me give information to everybody. Whatever you call me and we'll give you the information, whatever we give it. And I was met a lot with a lot of musicians thought I was bananas. They're like, oh, it's crazy the way you're doing it, whatever. So, and it's fine, I didn't, but I was spending a lot of energy wanting people to be ready, and they weren't. And I didn't get burnt out, but I definitely slowed down. So in that area, but it was, what I have to do is first, we complain about the city, this industry, Jazz Fest doesn't put me on, all of this stuff. We spend all of this energy complaining. And I say this, look at self. Music, the thing about music is you cannot write real music, be in this industry without consistently examining who you are and acknowledging your own shortcomings and then addressing them. If you're not doing that, is on you, is not on anybody else. So I always first blame the musician. I'm like, okay, so you know this is happening, but you're still doing the same thing. That makes no sense. So the first thing, and Tavi from Mid-Citizen said something great. We were on a call together, and I've been using this. So Tavi, I stole this from you. When people come to people who are quote unquote managers and everything, she was like, you gotta have something for me to manage. And that's what it is. It's like, you gotta have something that I can say, there it is. I can move that forward. And it's gotta be something. So as an artist, first, you have to do your work. You can show up and put your face in the person's face and all the rest of this stuff, but you know you're not ready. Introduce yourself, get your product ready. Get your stuff ready. Get your numbers up. Do something, but you have to do a lot of it yourself. So I think that a way for us to keep moving in a positive direction, number one is now, and I said this last night somewhere I was speaking, now the music business is like this, is the music business. Music business. The business part is huge. As independent artists, you have to understand portions of the business. You just won't exist. Okay, or you're gonna be really taken advantage of in a major way, and there's not a whole lot of money out there. So the first things first, deal with yourself and be ready. If somebody tells you something, you need to adjust something or do something or change something, listen to them. Listen to them. If it resonates with you, make the change. If it doesn't resonate with you, say thank you, but don't get mad if they're like, hey, I can't work with you right now. You know how many times I've been told no? Like 5 years somebody told me no, and then 1 year they said yes, and it changed my whole career. But I kept coming back. I kept making adjustments. I didn't go away. I said, I'm gonna get this. No matter what, I'm gonna do it because this is the person I wanna work with. And I think if we can just, as a community and musical community, stop thinking you have arrived. If you've arrived, you wouldn't be talking to anybody on this stage right now, presently. Maybe in 2 years you would be, but I'm just saying, we're growing. So the idea again is, look, have a lot of humility. Go into this thing learning. I am not the same musician I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I'm not the same business person I was 6 months ago, a year ago, 18 months ago, because the music industry changes like every 6 months. So you have to consistently learn. So I would just say it's an individual experience. And if we want this community to grow, we have to be honest and stop making excuses, get all the anger and bitterness out, and just deal with it from a logical point of view, not an emotional point of view. That's very hard with creatives, I know. So
you just preached all of it, and it was beautiful. I appreciate the importance of stressing the fact that it is the music business, very big. The fact that there are so many other roles aside from the artist, and we hone in so much, especially in the field of music education, we hone in on, you're the artist, this is your artistic experience, without recognizing when we go out into the world, we have to figure out all these other things about how to take care of ourselves, how to monetize this, how to market it, all of the pieces that we know to be true within this industry. And so I do think it's really important to remind ourselves that being a big part of it and saying no, so we're not perpetuating the same things. I mean, Lou, I feel like you have been on similar Zoom calls of the concept of musician pay during this time frame, and how we're all talking about we need to get paid more and we need to be in solidarity.
So I'm going to chime in there.
Please do.
I stopped going to those calls because all I heard was complaints during COVID. We need this, we need that, we need this, we need that, and we need this pay at this venue. But then I'm thinking during the call the whole time, and those people on those calls, I'm sorry I stopped going, but I'm thinking, okay, but how much money is the business making? And how can you get into a partnership with the business so y'all both grow together? Because the businesses are hurting too. So this is the perfect time for you to say, yeah, we need to renegotiate a deal. You're gonna get burned a little bit, I'm gonna get burned a little bit, but we'll grow together. That was the solution, but we were hearing from both sides. The club owners are mad at the city and musicians are like, we need to get $125 per show. And I'm just like, but where's that money gonna come from? I'm not saying clubs don't make money, but speak their language. If you don't know their language, if you don't know venues' language, learn it and then come back to the table and represent, but don't just say just cuz, Let me say one of the things with Water Seed, And I tell other musicians who've played with us in Water Seed, and they're like, how you guys doing this, all of this foolishness. We made the sacrifice. If you want something that's like Water Seed, you can only hire Water Seed. You can't hire any other band. If you're out there just kind of doing whatever, your commodity, I can get that from anybody. So if you say you're not coming tonight, I can probably call a band in an hour and give them the same deal and make the same money. Let's say downtown or whatever. But if you want me for the show and my guys for the show, you gotta call us, because that's the only people that's gonna give it to you. But it's simple things like that, understanding your brand, and then you have the leverage to negotiate. Without the leverage, hey, anybody can play Brick House. Big shout out to the Commodores, by the way. But anybody can play it, is what I'm saying. Everybody knows the tune. Why should I pay you more to play that when I know 50 other bands that can? So just something to think about in your art. It's like, I don't know.
No, it's real. Oh, did you
I was
have
gonna say,
more?
like, that's, you know, kind of, that goes to what Malaika was saying as far as being you as an artist and not trying to do what somebody else is doing. You know, when I was coming up, I got fronted on a lot. You know, everybody like, oh, Raj on all that hip hop shit. You know, but I stuck to my guns. You know what I'm saying? I did what I felt was true for me and was genuine for my craft and what I wanted to accomplish. And eventually, you know, those same people who fronted on me forgot that they fronted on me and started being cool with me. And it's like, you know, now when I come around, it's like, oh, Raj, what's up, what's up? Like, I had a conversation with a DJ a couple of years ago, like when I was super young, living in Georgetown apartments in the East. I was like, maybe like 9, 10 years old. And I'm riding my bike around the complex and, you know, I hear this scratching and mixing coming out one of the upstairs windows. And I'm like, yo, like, I want to do that. So I sat there outside of his window and waited for him to come outside. And I was like, yo, can you show me how to do that? He was like, nah. You know, like, no, like, you know, try to do this or whatever, like, just kind of like, just dismiss me, you know? And, you know, it's gonna happen. Like Lou said, like, you can't take that stuff personally. You can't get in your feelings. You just gotta say, hey, this is what I wanna do. This is how I wanna do it. And you have to stick to it. You know, that's the only way you're gonna make it. Like, if people want what it is that you're doing, they have to come and see you. If, you know, you're trying to do what you heard, you know, Lil Baby doing, or NBA Youngboy, or whoever else is hot, you know, they are like, why would they hire you or listen to you if they can go listen to what it is that you're copying? You know, you're not gonna make it like that. And it gets frustrating because folks will be like, I don't want to hear what it is that you're doing, or what you're doing isn't necessarily relevant right now. It's cool, they'll catch up. You know, stick to your guns, have integrity about your brand and about your price. Don't be stupid, because some people think like, yo, like, back to the humility part, yo, I'm big time, like, I need to get, you know, X amount of dollars, like, they should be paying me $10,000 to do this. Like, yo, like, nobody, you know, started out like that. Like, that's not how it works, you know.
And let me say to the people, because I get this a lot too, a lot of people have been saying, well, New Orleans doesn't like my type of music. I can't get shows, I can't get gigs, I can't get anything. So I've left New Orleans twice. One was voluntary right after college, the second time was Katrina. My first time coming back to the city, I was during the magical year of 2004, just before Katrina hit, so perfect timing, right? But look, we came back, we toured, we'd done a lot of great shows as Water Seed, and we couldn't get a gig. I mean, we could not get gigs because nobody wanted to hear like a funk neo-soul sound at that time. Nobody in the city, at least club owners, didn't get it. So if I give them a demo, they're like, no, you know. So what I did was, we said, okay, well, this is community again. We said, okay, well, we're not gonna worry about it. We went down to a venue that used to be down on Rampart. We said, hey, can we have Thursday nights? Yes, we created a series called the Butterfly Soul Series. So every Thursday, we had 3 bands come in, perform this type of music. And we started generating a community. And we wouldn't play every Thursday, but we would play like every other Thursday. And then giving other people that were vibing on that same sound like a place to play. There was no place.
You created your own table, you created your own vibe.
Exactly.
You created that place for you to perform. Like it wasn't happening for you.
Right,
so you
but
made
we
it happen.
didn't give up, didn't change who we were. Okay, you don't understand it, we know we can generate something. Because the whole thing is, if you got people that's gonna come to see you, you can go back downtown and be like, I can put 500 people in your place, and they may not understand why or the music, but they're definitely gonna give you a show. So that was the mentality. You know, it's like, so if you don't have, and this happens all the time in New Orleans, there are young musicians, look, it happened during my generation, it's probably happening through a lot of your generation. There are places that won't let you in because it's like, oh, that's not New Orleans enough, it won't get any tourists. Go find somewhere, create your own brand, get 10 people, get 20 people, get 40, get 50, be consistent, create that vibe, and then you can go wherever you want to do it in a city as long as you have the people that get it. So don't make excuses, because it's an excuse to say, I just can't get a gig in New Orleans. Okay, if that's it, pack up and go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it. Go somewhere.
You're going to find the same thing wherever you end up at.
That's right. So, exactly. So go ahead. Fine, there's always a way. There's always a small club that's looking for some music that's like, okay, y'all can come and hang out, bring 10 people in, and we're happy. So, you know, think outside the box.
Yeah, these are such great pieces of advice, and especially, I just want to address the importance here of remembering what you're bringing to the table. I think that is such a good point about, for a lot of folks that were like, we need more money. It's like, well, no, it's a little give and take here. We build community with one another, we work together, and we understand that we as musicians are bringing a part of this business, and the business owner themselves is a business. So how are we working together? How are we making sure that we're supporting each other here?
Can I just say one other thing really quickly?
Yeah.
You created that space, and don't think about your progression in your careers, whatever the career is, as this kind of tidy, straight line, right? It really is like an EKG. It can be all over the place. So LaWanda was saying that she was a fan of Waterseed, right? And she was in the right places, and the opportunity came up where Lou is like, all right, or somebody wasn't working, and she was able to fill in. I went to Raj because I'm a fan, right? LaWanda said she was a fan of Waterseed. I'm a fan of Raj. I love music. I love DJs. I love the nuances of DJs and listening to and paying attention to the types of music they play. I'm a fan. So that made me go to him and say, do you need any marketing help? Because that's my skill, and I'm a fan, and I believe in what you're doing. But that was an opportunity that I jumped out and asked for. And we don't do that often enough, where it's not coming to us, or we don't think people are giving it to us, or we think that we deserve it and they're not giving it to us. Make it. And these are all different ways that we created it for ourselves.
And also what you said, like, you believe in it. Like, I believe wholeheartedly in everybody in my team and what it is that they're trying to do. Like, you can ask Lou. Anytime he's like, yo, Raj, what you think about doing this? Let's do it. You know, if Malaika say, hey, you know, I got this project, let's do it. If Amanda comes to me, you know, she's thinking about, you know, she wants to write a book, yo, let's do it. Let's get it popping. Like, anything that comes up, because I believe in the people that are around me and their own dreams and what they're trying to accomplish. And that's, again, it gets back to that brain trust in that community. Like, let's figure out how to help each other, because if I can pull you up, you can help pull me up.
So I'm going to put him on blast, and I'm going to say, when is Raj Smoove releasing his solo project? That's it. That's just an put that on the record.
That's dirty. That's so dirty.
Real talk. I was looking at my calendar.
You've been looking at your calendar.
No, hold up. It's funny though.
You've been looking at your calendar
because we talked about it, and my project was supposed to be coming out next Monday.
Your what is coming out next Monday?
Yeah, we remember we had a conversation back at the beginning of the year.
That's all I'm saying.
On what we were planning to do, and there was a Raj Smoove produced. There was a project that was supposed to be coming out
Malaika.
on Monday.
I'm not catching none of these bullets.
But you know, we didn't got sidetracked with a whole lot of other things, but it's gonna happen.
All right. You heard it here. There it is. So, accountable, sir. Accountability.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Let's go.
I appreciate all these little quotation gems coming from today. 8 weeks, let's go is going to be we're going to have multiple slides from today, just so you know.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
butt is vibrating right now.
I feel like all of you all right now are really stressing the importance of bringing in that passion to what you're doing, bringing in and making sure that whatever you're coming into, you're passionate about. And I wonder if y'all could touch a little bit about how, especially for students that are in this room, and again, people that are watching from home, how to start forming your passion into your business. Like, how do you take that next step? And again, anyone that wants to take that question.
I just want to say, like, you can't, if you're an artist, you can't be an artist for the money. Like, you will quit very quickly if you're doing this for the money. Like, you have to do this because this is who you are. Like, my dad is 86, 87, and he's still composing music and teaching piano to people. Like, that's who he is. So you have to do this because this is who you are. The money will come, the money will go. Like Lou said, the money will come again. You know, you can't attach your artistry to other things. You have to do this because this is what it is that you want to do. Now, on the business side of it, you definitely have to be mindful of how can I monetize this? And sometimes it's not always what's right in front of your face. Sometimes you have to do other things that might be around what it is that you want to do that help support that what it is that you want to do so you can continue being an artist, you know. And that's, Malaika's like, yo, how are we going to make money from this?
And to that end, though, like, yes, you should always have your bigger why, right? Something that keeps you very passionate. I always use the analogy of a relationship. You might have a partner, and there are things about your partner that might get on your nerves that you don't like, but you love them. And that is what keeps you there. That's what keeps you looking beyond the things that you don't want to do. So even if you want to do something and you have a bigger goal and a bigger why, that's your motivation. And even if you're not doing it right now or tomorrow, like Raj said, you can do something that gets you in the arena and gets you closer to it and closer to it. So if you have this long, if it takes you a while and you still want to keep at it, then it's something that's really true to you. But if you can't get it easily and you're ready to abandon it, then you have to ask yourself if it's something that was really important to you. And it's okay if that why is not very clear to you at first, but I think it is your responsibility to spend your time on this earth figuring out what that is.
So this is a loaded question for me because, okay, to Raj's point and Malaika's point, if you do not love this, if this is not who your identity is, it's okay to say, it's just not for me, okay? And I say that because this is possibly the worst business you're gonna get into. I mean, think about it. If I were selling like rings that were on my finger, what do? I go home, I make more rings, I find places to sell it, I put something online, I do what I have to do, I pay my taxes on it, I grow my business. Music is a moving target. The rules change. It's one of the only businesses where you actually do not have to be good at it to make a lot of money. Okay, so think about that. So with that comes a lot of heartache. You know, with that comes a lot of pain. If you're a musician on any type, you spent a lot. I can remember now the times I was at Xavier in the music practice rooms were in the parking lot. And I used to be in there like long nights practicing, and there'd be like homecoming on the yard, everybody partying, and I'm practicing. You know, or I'm writing, or I'm doing something, or there's a party. It's so many things I've turned down to hone my craft. It's a lot of sacrifice. And so when someone doesn't receive you for your talent and you're counted out because of it, it hurts. Then when someone who, without downing anybody, really doesn't care about talent, they only care about bling and all the rest of this stuff, and they're making way more money and succeeding at what they're doing, it hurts. So if you do not love it and it's not your identity, it's just, again, time. Don't waste your time. The industry is changing. It's changing as we're sitting here. The rules are changing. It's highly federally regulated. There's places there's so many ways. Last night I was having a conversation again. There's so many different places that you're supposed to make money off music that you're not. It's all of these things. It's an uphill battle. I cannot candy coat it. When people come up to me, they have their young kids, my child really loves music and I want to do this. And I'll be like, I will not mentor this child to do that. Because a part of me is just like, man, I almost don't want to give them, it's addictive. I don't want to give it to them. I don't want to be responsible for that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it sounds crazy, right? Because it's so anti-New Orleans. Because New Orleans, we're all about, we can get all the young
He'll
kids
be the
and stuff.
Nino Brown of music.
But look, it's real in that, I'm not saying I would turn everybody down, but it takes a lot of who you are. It takes a lot of who you are. Relationships get screwed up, personal, business, everything. There's all this, it's a wild business. It's just, how do you switch from the art to the business? I guess the short answer is you gotta study. Put your ego aside, you have to read everything. When I say you have to read everything, because the second issue with music is there's not one path to success. It's like 50,000 different ways people are discovered and find success. And we find out about new people all the time. There's no formula to this. You know what I'm saying? It's so internal. It's what resonates with you.
When I listen to you, I'm sorry, I just think about this quote that I heard from Cedric the Entertainer. He said people used to come up to him and say, I want to blow up. How can I blow up? He was like, I don't want to blow up. I want to smolder. Because I'm going to be around for a minute. I want a slow burn so I could be around. I won't be a flash in the pan. And what I'm hearing from you is that where people get frustrated is that they're looking for this very quick turnaround with their success. And with music, that's not something that happens often with very talented people.
Well, people don't tell the truth about how they became successful.
Well, that too.
And then we end up mimicking the lie, thinking that's how we get there, and we don't. So, and to use that, your illustration is a marathon, it's not a sprint. Think about a marathon, it's 26 miles. A sprint could be 400 meters. Do you want to be a sprinter, get there quick and your race is over? Or do you want to take this 26 mile, and like get to the finish line? There's a difference. You got to really know what you want to do. And trust me, there's so many ways to do it. When I switched from, I feel like, in a past life, I was a music educator. And look, I had a lot of success at that, and a lot of success with my band while doing it. We played some great places, went to Russia, Apollo, we did all these amazing things. But the moment I quit my job and I had to literally do this to feed myself was when I felt like I really had to become a true business person. That's when everything changed, because now I have to not only take care of myself, I got to take care of, at that time, 9 people that are in the band and make sure they're eating something or else they go home. And I got to do it all over. It was a totally different, and look, I have people that were in that band that are still mad at me today because they thought I was being unrealistic. But it's just like, hey man, it's rough out here. So the idea is, it's okay to have a side hustle and everything, learn, and don't eat the whole cake at once. Take one slice, work on this one area, then take the next slice and apply. Don't overwhelm yourself is the simplest advice I would give you transitioning from just the creative side to business. Just take one area of the business that interests you, focus on that. But then be responsible and know that you can't just stop there. Once you get comfortable with that, add the other piece and then keep adding. And that's what I would say.
I got nothing to add. You even talked about a cake. I'm good.
Cake, all right. Yeah.
There's so many nuggets of wisdom there, especially in terms of making sure that you're doing what you love. And if you really don't love this, it is a good reminder, like, it's okay. There are other industries, and that's okay. I think we do need to remind ourselves that. But importantly,
and what I want to add, nowadays, there's so many other things you can do in music. and make more money than the people on the stage. So think about that too.
That is very true. It is so true. And so I think kind of taking into consideration a lot of what was said here, especially around scaffolding what you're learning within the industry and applying it to your business, I want to think a little bit about how we take this information, how we take this entrepreneurial spirit, and how as creatives we can really work towards improving the cultural economy. I think you all have touched on it a little bit, but I want to go kind of a little bit more. Like, let's think ahead, let's think past the pandemic. How can we lead ourselves to really improving our cultural economy, and how can the next generation of our young artists and entrepreneurs also support in that process?
I think the biggest thing is just working together, figuring out what it is that you lack, those things that you don't necessarily, traits that you don't necessarily aren't strong in, and get around some people that have those things. Like Lou said earlier, like compliment. I'm a very kind of calm individual. I feel like I think too much. Lou gets very excited when he talks about things. You know what I'm saying? We need that. Like I can't go in a room and do that. Lou can do that. So it's like, yo, that's something, you got that. I'm gonna hand you the ball on that side. You go and you mouthpiece what it is that we're doing right now. You have to find some people around you that are complimentary and things that you're good at, and find other businesses. Like, everybody here got shoes on. Most of the time, the shoe company that you got those from, they don't make the leather. They don't grow cows. You know what I'm saying? They don't make thread. They got to order that from somewhere else. So you got to figure out what your product is and how do you upstream that through the whole production chain. Find your place and monetize that.
I think the other thing we can do is look outside of what's being pushed to us and support the artists that are not in our faces all the time, right? And when I say support, I mean, like, find out where they're performing, go see them live, look beyond the things that we see all the time. The greatest, I've discovered the best artists. Like, I love Shazam. Because I'm able to discover people that would never have been on my radar. And I think that giving those people who are putting their art out there, putting themselves out there, and giving them the money to say, like, showing your appreciation that way is one way that we can really just have this holistic view of balancing the scales, where the people who are kind of not as talented are getting a lot of monetary payoff. We want to give that to the people who are and who we appreciate too, and show them our appreciation just through supporting them.
So I would say you have to be bold, brave, and kind of fearless. It's like you gotta go. It's like your back's against the wall, you gotta go. It's not what do they say? It's flight or fight. You gotta fight, and that's something I learned in school, in college more. Well, no, the moment I really started seriously picking up drumsticks is either you're gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. And every teacher pressured me that way. And it was bad. It was, some people would leave rooms crying and everything, and it was just like aggressive. It was aggressive, like, if you come back tomorrow, okay, fine. But you have to fight. You have to fight for your space, but be bold, be brave, do it. This thing what I'd like to see that's more practical, that I'm gonna borrow from Atlanta, what we can do as a musical community. When we spent time in Atlanta, in which the industry was still there and doing things, they tricked the matrix. And what do you mean by that? They had a collective strategy on how to make their industry big. So if you have artist A, this 6 months, this artist is gonna blow, period. So every artist in Atlanta supported that artist. So their numbers went through the roof. They got the support, they got the love. Okay, they're off, they're running. A is up there. Now A can bring B, and so now everybody support B. Then they bring that artist up. Okay, now there's 2 there. Who's C? And what they did, they had strategy on how. So imagine if everybody just in this room went and got 50 friends or 50 people they know and said, we're gonna support, what's your name, sir? Charlie? We're gonna support Charlie. So that's about what? Easily, 500 people? Said, for the next year, we're gonna support Charlie while we're still working on our own stuff. We're gonna make sure he's the biggest thing coming out, no matter what the sound is. We're the biggest thing. And Charlie's gonna say, look, we all agree this person is next. He's gonna blow up. He's gonna make sure that the next person in line or the next several people in line are on his next big project, and then everybody supports it. And they had a strategy that literally made people stars. So they tricked the matrix. If New Orleans did that, imagine, and just per genre. What if it happened, because we have a lot of music here. I'm not more than Atlanta, actually, so different types. Imagine if everybody in each genre said, I'm coming to your show to sell it out. Return the favor, please. Cool, we'll be there. If we could do that as a community, then it would be a whole different game. That's what I think we could do as a community.
Damn, that's powerful. Now I'm just like sitting here, like eyes wide open and going, how do we make this happen right now? That's a beautiful strategy. It uplifts each other. It supports one another.
I can't own it, but that's what they did.
I mean, you're bringing it to the table right now, so you're owning it right now. But
so it goes into ego and humility, though, because it takes a lot of trust to sit back on a bench and let this person get their shine and know that they're still going to come back for you. It takes a lot of trust, and really is a strategy that comes from his community. It comes from hip hop, and they just moved it into other places, into other phases. They just literally took a page out of what hip hop crews did, and they said, okay, we're going to do this with soul music and with R&B and with these other things, which is like the most popular music in Atlanta. So, but that's what they did.
that's powerful. Wanda, you want to add to kind of other strategies we can bring in, especially from behind the scenes? Like, what can we do to support even further?
Behind the scenes, I think it's important to, if you're in a position where you can bring someone on, reach your hand back, grab someone who's like-minded, someone who has the same work ethic as you, because you don't want to bring somebody in who's going to, tarnish your reputation, but always, always, always reach back and for someone else. Somebody did it for me, I'm doing the same thing for someone else. It's not taking away anything from me to help them. And I know the people that I choose will do the same, so we're just perpetuating the circle.
Love it. It's the act of really paying it forward consistently, just reminding ourselves, like, we all were that person that was starting out, and just acknowledging as this industry grows, there's always going to be someone just starting out. I think all of you have really stressed so much today, just like this theme of community. I think, again, it is our theme that we're coming back to in this spirit of entrepreneurship and this theme of the music industry. And as we're thinking about community, I want to have a kind of switch it from the future thinking to today thinking. So what can our young creatives be doing today to really help improve what's happening here and set that groundwork of some of these ideas and concepts y'all have presented here?
I think definitely what young people can do today is disrupt. I think you guys have a lot of amazing talent that you have access to that definitely in my generation we didn't. You have the internet, you have all kind of, it's definitely a global community. I think that, and this is what I tell college students this all the time. Literally, you walk past 2,000 to 3,000 people a day, right? Literally. When you're out of college, that doesn't happen unless you're living in New York or whatever. But then you have no relation with that person, anything like that. So you can literally create scratches on a wall and get 1,000 people to support that. What I'm saying is your sound, the sound that you create, the sound of your generation, pulled together, and all the people who have been here for several years, show us. Say, hey, this is a new sound. It resonates with my generation. Watch this, everybody's gonna love it. I think that, look, it encourages me to expand sound. I feel like some of the sound that Water Seed is getting into now has been in my head for years, but was not acceptable. But I hear that sound in what a lot of young people are doing now. And so that's allowing me to shift my gear in Water Seed and say, oh, people are accepting this sound now. The more you guys disrupt, the more, if we're open-minded, older generation people, will receive it. But disrupt, come in, be super creative, be bold, be active, be ready, and teach us. You know, it's about you guys give us information that we're not aware of because we're in our little worlds. You guys, if you're in college or whatever, you're in whole communities with each other that are vibing on things that we won't hear for another 5 years. And that's all I say. So disrupt, be creative, be great. So yeah.
I'll say, be professional. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Don't be complacent. That's what I want to say. I've seen a lot of local bands in New Orleans who are incredibly talented, but their appearance and their attitude don't represent.
In New Orleans?
I'm just saying.
Go figure.
Their appearance and their attitude don't reflect what the quality of their performance that they can bring to the table, right? I might be in a bar room somewhere or in a local spot and I'm looking at a live band, but the band shouldn't look like they just went to Walmart to shop. I'm sorry, that's just...
They shouldn't be sitting under amps and like...
No, they
Okay,
should
no,
not.
I'm sorry. My
They
bad.
should not.
That was low. That was a
Right?
low blow.
Like you shouldn't have on fuzzy slippers when I'm watching you perform. Because, so to me, that mitigates anything, any talent that I hear. And if you show up on time, and if you're a professional, if you send invoices, if you have this level of professionalism, that's also gonna make you stand out with the people who hire you, right? And it's gonna make them wanna hire you again. You're not just on time, you're early, right? So not taking any opportunity for granted and being complacent, I think that's something that a lot of artists can do today.
What Lou said earlier, read, try to learn as much as you can. Learn about financial responsibility. Like, that's a big thing that gets a lot of artists in trouble. Even when they don't have money, as soon as they get money, they don't know what to do with the money. You know, it's not easy to turn $1 into $2 into 4 into 8 into 16 into 32. Like, it takes practice to learn how to do that. But if you learn early on, you will be in a position where your feet are on solid ground, where you can do the things that you want to do and move the way that you want to move. A lot of people that started out with me in this music thing couldn't stick with it because they made some, questionable life decisions, and they had to get real jobs. I'll say that, traditional jobs, and it prevented them from doing the things that they really wanted to do. So I think the good advice for the music industry is just good advice for life. Period. Try to stay centered, figure out who you are, try to find your own voice, and don't let the other people around you deter you. There's gonna be a lot of advice. Sometimes you need to take it, sometimes you need to be like, but just keep an open mind, but stay focused on your goals and what it is that you want to do, and it can happen for you too.
These are such wonderful sage pieces of advice. I realize we're right up at time for this panel discussion today. I just want to thank y'all again for reminding all of us of the importance of community, finding your people that you can work together with and be stronger and uplift and support each other. And so thank you for such wonderful advice today. Thank you for your insights. And if folks want to keep up with GenRise, how can they do so?
You can follow me on social media, at Raj Smoove, pretty much everywhere.
And GenRise is actually a combination of both of our companies, the Gentilly Agency and Moonrise Entertainment. So you can definitely go to GenRise, GentillyAgency.com.
Yes.
Yes, and you can go to Moonrise. you can go to moonriseent.com to see what we're doing. And then I know you're going to talk about,
Yes, you can follow me at Social Step Marketing. My company is Social Step Marketing and Consulting, so you can follow me there and reach out to me, or if you want to email me directly, Malaika, MALAIKA, at socialstep.com.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much again. Let's give a nice big round of applause to our wonderful panelists today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, y'all. All right.
Thank you.
Ta-da, we're done.
Great job.